All right, guys, Pastor Reacts, Pastor Andy with you. And if you haven't seen this already, I would suggest you at least take a look at it. Alex Jones was on, this is totally different for Big Cat TV, but I just feel compelled to bring this to you guys. Alex Jones is, of course, pretty huge following, banned from YouTube, banned from Twitter. And he was on Joe Rogan last week. Yeah, February 27th, I believe. It's like a 4-hour podcast. And he touched on pretty much every issue you could possibly think of. But I wanted to bring in, there's a couple clips. They've broken down some of the clips here. And the way that I'm going to do this is just play a little short section here. Here he's talking about this dream that he had.
The sword goes, and like attacks me on this horse, and then like it went, and then I was like in England thousands of years ago, and I had this wife and these kids, and it was a whole lifetime like taking care of them and like growing food, and like a kid start.
So he's talking about in this interview he's just skipping subject to subject, and it's almost impossible to follow. And with him, it's so hard to know if he's actually serious or if he's just trying to market his next, to get people to go to his website and that sort of thing. But at this point in the interview, he's actually starting to get emotional. He's talking about this dream that he had one time when he was choked. He said that when he was in high school, they had this game, which actually it was something that they were doing. They were doing it when I was in middle school, I guess, where you were supposed to hyperventilate and then have somebody push you against the wall. And there was this rumor that you would see Satan if you did that.
To death and died. And it was like, just those moments were like whole lives, dead kids, everything. That's what I'm saying. Like, you dial into all those ancestors. And it was like my kids and kids starving to death and like people attacking us.
So you think all that information from your ancestors somehow or another encoded somewhere in your body?
It's definitely encoded, Joe.
So Alex has this theory that all your history, everything that has ever happened in your family line is all encoded in some way in your being. And I'm not sure if he gets into it specifically about what he's talking about, as far as whether it's DNA or whether it's in an invisible realm. But they talk about everything from DMT experiences to aliens, all kinds of things they're talking about. And Alex has somewhat of a, I would say, at some points it sounds like an almost Christian interpretation of what's happening. Basically, his belief is that when people take chemicals that alter their reality, it actually is launching them into a different dimension. His basic understanding is that we live in this dimension most of the time, but different chemicals can put people into different dimensions. The way he explains what he thinks is going on is it's almost like a filter. So you have a filter by which you can process the world, and then when those chemicals are introduced into your brain, that filter is turned off, and then you're able to access different levels of reality that you're not able to access in your normal brain, or your normal understanding of reality. But basically his thesis is that any beings that you contact during that time are beings that you don't want to be associating yourself with, because ultimately they will turn to evil. But I wanted to read, this is from the Bible, the book of Ezekiel, and just imagine, so this was written down, let's see, around in the 500s before Christ, so 2,500 years ago. And this is Ezekiel, who was a prophet. It says, "The word of the Lord came expressly to Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Shebar, and the hand of the Lord was upon him there." All right, and this is what he says happened, all right? Now, I just want to draw a little bit of a comparison here, a little parallel between what Alex is talking about. Then I looked, and behold, a whirlwind was coming out of the north, a great cloud with raging fire engulfing itself, and brightness was all around it, and radiating out of its midst like the color of amber out of the midst of a fire. Also from within it came the likeness of 4 living creatures. See? And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. Each one had 4 faces, and each one had 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like the soles of calves' feet. They sparkled like the color of burnished bronze. And this is in Ezekiel chapter 1. If you want to take a look at it, I would recommend that you do so and read through the story. What I'm saying is that some of the experiences that people are attempting to get out of psychedelic drugs, the Bible records experiences with what they call either the hand of the Lord or the Spirit of the Lord was upon me. You might remember a similar thing from the book of Revelation. The Apostle John writes that book of Revelation under the power of the Holy Spirit of God. And what I'm going to say about what Alex is doing right now is either he's having these experiences himself, or he's doing a very convincing job based on all his reading and everything of simulating these experiences. And Joe has also experienced. I think he describes his experience with other beings. They were like dwarfs.
That makes sense if you think about what reincarnation must feel like. You know, when people have that feeling, they have this feeling that they lived before.
Our whole bodies are everybody before us.
Right. Well,
it's not quite exactly. So people they underestimate. They go, oh.
So I would have to ask Alex what he means by that. Because there is some indication in the Old Testament. We're all individuals, but we're all connected in some way as well, which the Old Testament doesn't really give as much light on that as maybe we would like. But it does talk about if there's a curse on somebody that can be passed on through generations, as well as blessings, and there's some kind of power that's transmitted. You may remember there's a story in the Old Testament about Esau and his brother Jacob, and Jacob tricks his father Isaac into blessing him, and they have this sort of ritualistic blessing. And so this blessing is basically just an oath. But once that happens, Esau comes in and says, "Hey, that wasn't me. That was my brother." Isaac is an old man at that time. And he says, well, he's been blessed, and blessed he will be. I got the names wrong there. No, I didn't. I got the names. Yeah. Yeah, I got the names right there. So anyway, you can look that up too. Sorry, I got a lot going on here with running the podcast the way, or the streamline the way I'm at.
No, they all lived before.
That would also explain certain fears that people just have as children. Like children have a fear of animals. Like you see an animal with big teeth. Children have a natural
They've never
fear
been attacked by a cave, but their ancestors got killed.
So Joe is talking about a totally different thing than what Alex is talking about here, in my opinion. Joe is talking more about there's, this idea among people that believe in evolution that these fear traits are somehow encoded in our DNA. I think Alex is talking a little bit more in the metaphysical realm, if I'm not mistaken, but he doesn't really go into detail. All this to say that the people that are on these podcasts and are talking right now, they're talking about the same types of experiences and things that have happened over the course of thousands of years, and they're trying to explain them in a way that, with all our understanding of science as it is right now, how do you explain these things that are happening? And Alex believes that the government is involved in regular contact with these otherworldly creatures. And people get hung up on, well, are they aliens? Are they interdimensional beings? What are they? Well, I just read you about those 4 creatures. What are those? Are they real creatures? Are they some sort of an illusion? my belief is that the Bible's pretty clear that there will be a series of things that are very confusing and terrifying for the human race that comes upon the human race toward the end of time, and we may be approaching that. It's hard to say, but one of the reasons that that Jesus was very clear, he said, heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. And this is one of the reasons that Christians put such confidence in the Bible, is because they believe that the Bible is the inspired Word of God and that it can anchor you through these distressing times, give you a handle to try to explain all these things. I mean, it's comforting for me to know that people, if somebody starts talking about having this vision of a whirlwind and a chariot, if they were to talk about that right now, we would be very skeptical of that. And yet the people in the Old Testament, they were wise enough to really discern whether this person was talking about something that had actually happened to them or not, and they used it, and of course they maintained it, and that's why we have access to it today, which can help us unlock some of the things that Alex is talking about here. So, totally different subject on Big Cat TV. If I find any more clips, I will pass them along, and I wanted to do just at least give you an update on some of the things that were addressed here.
They probably got attacked by some bear somewhere, and
yeah, that's just Joe going on that. So, all right, please like, subscribe. Normally we review music, but I thought that was pretty impacting on the culture, so I thought I'd do a video on it. We'll see you guys real soon.